Europeans learn how massive America is. That is the video we're checking out today. And this is going to be kind of surprising for me as well, because I'm sure I'll also be like, oh, I didn't expect America to be that big, as I live in the United Kingdom.
America is just so much bigger than you actually think. Until you travel there, you just can't put it into perspective. Americans will be telling you that they're driving to a city that's nearby. In reality, it's like 6 hours away. To me, that's not nearby. That's like a whole different chapter of life.
You know, I have heard that before. I've heard of people just saying that they take long car journeys like it's normal over there.
I'm convinced Europeans experience distance differently than Americans because I'm in a
Probably.
long-distance relationship with my boyfriend right now. Every time I bring it up to someone who lives in Europe, they're like, oh, like, I did long distance before. Like, I only saw my boyfriend every, 3 months. It was so hard. I was like, oh my God, 3 months? Like, how far do you guys live from each other? Thinking it was at least, a continent away. And they're always like, oh, like, it was a 3-hour drive. Like, I just couldn't justify making that every month. And I was like, my boyfriend and I lived an 8-hour drive, and we still saw each other once a month when I was doing college in the States. And these people are fiancés or married. You only live 3 hours away from your significant other and you're not willing to make that drive. But I also guess that makes sense because you can drive 3 hours and be in a completely different country here, but if you drive 3 hours from San Diego or OC, you're still in Southern California.
That's the thing. I mean, again, a 3-hour car journey seems insane. I would not be taking that once a year, my guy. What are you talking about?
One of the biggest differences between Americans and Icelanders, or Europeans in general, is driving distances, the tolerance for them. Americans, they can have a 2-hour commute to work, and that's just their commute. And
there's no way.
Complain if something's more than 25 minutes. We were in
that's every day. You've got to do that though. There's no way.
Are you okay? And same with, when people are visiting family members and they live 3 or 4 hours away. Americans will do that as a day trip. Icelanders, we would always spend the night. Anything over 3 hours, you got to spend the night. What are you going to drive 6 hours in one day?
Not a chance.
No. It's like with dog years. For an American 1 hour, that's 3 hours in Iceland. You know what I'm saying? Your guys' tolerance is just on a different level.
I keep seeing TikToks of people talking about how Europeans just do not understand how big the United States is. And as an American who used to live in Europe, this is 100% true. I think a lot of people understand in theory that countries like the United States or Australia, China, or Russia are really big. But until you actually experience it yourself, it's hard to conceptualize just how big that is. And so I'm originally from Seattle, but I was constantly asked questions about New York City. And a lot of my European friends just did not really understand just how far Seattle and New York really were.
I mean, that's the thing about America as well. You've got so many different states. And in a way, it might even seem like some of these states are completely different countries to each other. You'll have different cultures, different accents, different ways of life in different parts of America, but it all still is in America.
Example, when I talked about moving to New York City, I had European friends tell me, oh, that must be so nice to be close to your family again. When my European friends would plan a trip to New York, they would ask if they could come visit me and see where I'm from. Of course, I would always say yes, but also a lot of people didn't realize just how far apart these two cities are. So I came up with a comparison that I'm going to show you now. So if you were to drive from where I grew up in Seattle to New York City, it would be 2,830 miles or over 4,500 kilometers. And since I lived for a time in France, I like to compare with the starting point in Paris. So a drive of this same distance could get you all the way from Paris to the Middle East, specifically northern Iraq. And I don't know about you, but for me, this comparison has always helped put that distance into perspective.
Okay, that has definitely put it into perspective for me. I would not expect the same distance of Seattle, was it, and New York to be the same as France to flipping Iraq? What? You're going across Romania into Turkey through to Iraq? What the hell? Nearly in Saudi Arabia. You can nearly drive from France to Saudi Arabia in the time that you would drive, that you would spend driving from Seattle to New York. That is a wild comparison that really does put things into perspective.
I live in Texas, right? I could drive 10 hours in a straight line and still be in Texas. For reference, the longest drive I've ever done in England was when I drove from London to Liverpool for a cross-country meet.
Now, the thing is, I've seen in America as well, you probably would get these in Texas, just them single long roads, right? Where it's just desert on your left, desert on your right. It's just one highway, right? That's what you would call it, just straight line down. Could you just literally drive 10 hours, as he said, on this one road and by the time 10 hours goes by, you're still seeing desert on your left, desert on your right. Probably. That would be really weird, actually. Because it might even feel like you're just not making any progress. If you're not seeing any sign of city lights, any sign of human life even, if you're just on your own, that would be really bizarre, I feel like. But it could be pretty normalised for someone who does live in the likes of Texas, where you might see a road like that.
And my mum stopped 4 times to piss in a 4.5 hour drive. I remember when I first got here, bear in mind the longest drive I'd done was 4.5 hours.
And that is long.
And I had to do a 10-hour drive to Alabama. And doing a drive for that long for the first time was fucking rough.
I can imagine.
But once you've been here, you get used to it, man.
Do you though?
I've drove 9 hours to Florida from Texas multiple times. But if you tell anyone in England you're driving 9 hours, miss them with that.
No.
Miss them.
No.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't even know if you can drive 9 hours in England and still
that might
be in
cover
England.
the entirety of
I'm
England.
pretty sure you'd get to Scotland by that point anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know how far like Southampton is from Newcastle. I'd have to do my research, but
Interesting.
yeah, that length of a drive in England.
I mean, would this actually, I guess, make you guys, if you're from America, more acceptable to long flights as well? Because since we don't really have to do long drives, at least not, as long as the Americans do, I feel like a lot of us, myself included, we don't really like long flights either. It's pretty tiresome and it's pretty, what's the word here, tedious to get through, let's say, a 9 or 10 hour flight.
Okay, America is actually massive,
America!
isn't it? I don't know how it's taken me so long to really realise this.
What
In a couple
happened?
of months we're going to Arizona, a good friend's wedding.
Phoenix.
It's in Sedona. We have some good friends who live in Orange County in California, and so in my European-sized brain, I was like, oh, it's that side of the country. Let's do a trip where we see them and go to the wedding. And then still
it's gonna
European
go wrong.
frame of mind, I was like, let's visit them. Let's go to the wedding in Sedona, and then let's do like a couple of the national parks, Grand Canyon.
No time.
That's actually not too far from the wedding. And then I was like, oh, Mum really wants to see Yosemite. Let's do that too. And without meaning to, it's suddenly like 4 or 5 days of travel to get from Sedona to Yosemite. You could go through about 4 countries in Europe.
She's saying Yosemite. I always thought that was Yosemite or Yosemite. That sounds so dumb saying that out loud now. Wow. But in my head, I was like, Yosemite.
In the same amount of time. I am on a mission to see as much of this country as I possibly can, but
Fair enough.
It's
Go get
gonna
it.
take me a while because everything's so spread out.
As an American
Yeah.
who did not grow up in the United States, I want to talk about this. Everybody who's not from the United States, it's no joke that the United States is massive. So I grew up in Japan, specifically Okinawa, Japan, which is like a speck on a map when you look at Japan. Where I grew up, you could not drive for more than like maybe an hour in one direction before you have to make a turn because you're going to end up in the ocean. That's just how small the place is. When I moved back to the US, my parents had moved back a year before I did, and they picked me up from the airport in Texas and took me back to their house. It was a 3-hour drive to go from the airport to their house. 3 hours. I had never been in a car for more than like an hour without like turning or stopping or getting to my destination before. Like that was a super long 3 hours. Are you kidding me? So this, of course, is the United States, the continental United States, and then Alaska and Hawaii. So I live right here in Indiana right now. So I took a road trip last week from Indiana all the way down to San Antonio, Texas. People that are not from the United States, pause this video and comment how long you think it took me to go from Indiana to San Antonio.
How long do we reckon, boys? As someone who's not from America, how long to go from Indiana? Where the fuck is it? Where did he point? Indiana to Texas. Looking at this map, it does look smaller than what the answer would be here. I would guess like, I want to say 6 or 7. But it's probably going to be upwards of 10. It might even be 10 plus. I'm going to say 7 hours.
I'm going to give you a minute. Put your comment down. And
7
then I'm gonna tell
hours.
you in like 2 seconds. The answer is 19 hours and 48 minutes.
Yeah.
One way. without any stops. That's 19 hours and 48 minutes of driving. It's about 1,200 miles. So we drove about 2,400 miles to go from Indiana to San Antonio and back. And to be honest, because of traffic and weather conditions and stuff, we were actually on the road, like physically driving for about 24 hours or so.
No
Put that in
way.
perspective, if you got in a car in London,
I couldn't do
England,
that.
you could drive to Tuzla, Bosnia.
Are you serious?
Yeah, you could do that in about 1,200 miles. It would take you a
So there's another comparison, right? That same amount of time, you could drive from the UK to flipping Bosnia and Herzegovina. Alright, well that's where we're going to leave things for this perspective on how big America really is. Them comparisons made it seem, well, a lot bigger than I expected, so there we go. That's kind of crazy. Anyways, hopefully you've enjoyed the video today. Drop a like if you did, subscribe if you're new. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.